Good morning. We are live. I am Kate Luzio. I'm the founder and CEO of Luminary and also Goaldigger, our weekly show here on LinkedIn Live that talks to incredible leaders about finding their voices, building their brands, building their companies, building their career paths. And I'm so excited. It's been a long time coming to have Jasmine Sandler. And I'm going to kind of go through what Jasmine does in a second, but it's a very long list. Jasmine has been part of the Luminary community for quite a long time. And despite the pandemic, is kind of back in full force. And we're going to hear a little bit about her journey. But Jasmine Sandler is the CEO of JSM. You'll hear about that. The founder of Warrior Women in Business. You'll hear about that. And recently announced the president of NALBO, the National Association of Women Business Owners here in the New York City chapter, which is phenomenal. So welcome, Jasmine.
Thank you, Kate. Yes, it's been a long time coming. Very happy that you've been kind of the impetus to move everything forward. So really happy to be on today.
Well, and I'll just and I'll do this later, but the ironic thing is Jasmine and I have been trying to get together in different events, and this crazy pandemic happens. Now we're back in the space, even though she's kind of living in lots of different cities, kind of splitting her time. We both actually have each other's events and sessions today. So we were able to make it work. You'll hear a little bit more about that. NALBO at New York City is hosting a fireside chat later today at 3, and I will be the guest on that. So, all right, Jasmine, and just FYI, the warrior woman that she is, literally just landed from a red eye from LA and got right on this LinkedIn Live. So let's go right into a little bit of your story. Tell us kind of where you came from in order to, and you've had your company for several years, but where did that come from? And then what made you want to also launch Warrior Women in Business?
Okay, so I always start with this. When I was 6 years old, I was watching a commercial. And I said to myself, that's what I want to do, not really understanding what that meant. But what it meant is I really actually love branding. I love advertising. I love styling, creativity, everything that goes on around that. So flash forward into college, I got an internship with Young & Rubicam, which is the 75th largest. I think they're owned by Publicis now. A big ad agency.
They're owned by WPP now, and they're part of VML-Y&R. They are a corporate partner of ours.
Look at that. I love Y&R. There's a plug for Y&R. But that was so back in the day. You know how they go through all these changes and buyouts and things.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I got into advertising very young. I also am a pretty prolific writer. I love to write. And so I got in advertising pretty early. And then I went for an MBA. And from my grad school, I was picked up by IBM, where I had the opportunity to do marketing globally for their data services division. So I built this kind of knowledge base of tech as well as advertising. 9/11 happened, which was a terrible underscore terrible thing that happened. But as we're all business owners, we all know that when things happen in society, the world, and the economy, it always inevitably changes our business every time, right, Kate? So 9/11 happened. My job got basically downsized, and I was leading a division. And so what I did is I took my earnings and I said, I'm going to start a social network. This is like so early on.
Yeah.
Not even funny, because in grad school, I got myself through grad school by selling websites, like way before any of this big e-commerce stuff. So I've been in digital like a really, really long time. So anyways, I started the social network. I sold it. And then since then, for maybe the 5 past years there, I was consulting for other agencies that were they knew design, they knew advertising, but they didn't understand digital. In 2006, I was speaking. I'm a speaker, and that's what I do. So I was speaking at a conference on behalf of another agency, and I had a whole group of small business owners, and a lot of them women, come up to me and say, "Hey, can we hire you?" And this big light bulb went off over my head, and I was like, "Well, this isn't my company, so I'm just going to go start my own, because I know that this company that I was working for, leading, was serving only Fortune 5, like Citibank was my client, right? So like Fortune 500 clients." So I started my business with the mission to provide a high level of branding and digital marketing services to the individual entrepreneur, the small business owner, the growing executive. And, the business has evolved over time, but that is what JSM does. Now, to answer the second part of your question, 2016, I don't know if you know Andrea March.
Yes.
Yeah, she's awesome. So she asked me to be the keynote of her Women's Leadership Executive Conference, sponsored, I think it was by MetLife, in the MetLife building. So anyway, so I did the keynote, and at the end, I looked out to the audience. I mean, it was packed. I love, the bigger the audience, the better for me. I love it.
Me too.
I love big audiences. They're fun. But anyway, it was all these women, and they were all so serious, but also excited. And at that time, Kate, I actually had a podcast I was interviewing CEOs, men and women. It was called Uncover, and it was about uncovering the truths of different businesses for career development. So at that moment, I was like, okay, I'm going to get rid of Uncover, and I'm going to start, which was actually called Wonder Women in Business.
I remember, okay?
Yeah. So Wonder Women in Business started as a podcast. It grew into a conference series. I don't want to tell you, there's so many details here. And now we've launched a clothing brand, of which we're doing a pop-up at Luminary. So in the net of Warrior Women in Business I think, a movement for women that really want to help each other. But the focus is not just helping women in business, but women in the arts. I'm a musician on the side. Right. So I try to bring into events and everything that we do, this interesting social, but art element that actually helps career development of not only women in business, but women in the arts, they're very much hurting. So it's something that's really important. And we are actually producing an event for May 2022, Warrior Women in Business.
It's a live in-person event.
Yeah. It's going to be a performance series, music, and also 2 days of music business education for women in the arts that women that want to break into the industry.
Yeah.
In that industry, I don't know if you know this, but the top of the executive suite overall in the music business industry, 2% of the leaders are women. It's ridiculous. So although I'm not directly a female executive in music itself, I provide that support. I see that and it kind of upsets me. So something I want to do to help out.
No, just hearing that statistic upsets me, and I'm not, obviously not in music. That's not my industry. Banking was my industry. Now it's kind of like every industry is my industry, kind of like you, because we take it upon ourselves to really want to create change and not only get business owners and women that are running their own businesses paid and generating wealth and creating impact in their companies and growing their companies, but also women that are in the corporate workforce, like slugging it out every day. Like, let's get them not only to the top, let's get them paid appropriately. Let's get them to the top earlier. And I mean, I'm preaching to the choir, Jasmine.
No, because you know what, Kate, I had a call, I can't mention the name yet because I'm very superstitious, but a potential sponsor for my conference of all female executives of an important company. I'll just say that. And that's all I'm going to say. And when I was on the phone with them, I just thought to myself, Kate, I was listening to them, it was like 3 of them, 1 of me, I'm so used to that. And I'm listening to them and I'm thinking, all these women have good jobs, but if they were really, because I do branding, if they were made very visible in their industry, in the spotlight, how much could that help other women that are trying to get into that industry? You know what I mean? Right. Whether they're trying to start a business in that industry or work in that industry. So I think my point is, I think there's this trickle effect from corporate that supports what we do, female entrepreneurship.
I mean, that's why I started Luminary, right?
Yeah.
When I originally written the business plan, it was so focused on corporate women because that's what I knew. Right. And then I realized that the ecosystem is much larger and they're actually so joined up. How do we do both? How do we work with women in transition? And so, no, and ever since the first day we've met, it's like we sort of get each other. I think there's also a level of intensity that both of us have to create change, to create impact, and also keep build. There's a comment in the chat that says, Jasmine, you are a multi-hyphenate, amazing story. Aww. And I couldn't agree more because you are doing so much. When you think of, in your role as the CEO of JSM, who are Who are the clients that you're working with? Like, what's your target client? Is it a small business? Is it medium size? Is it sort of all over the map?
Well, it's interesting. In 2008, 2009, right, when the economy crashed, what happened was I was pitching Bear Stearns, I think at the time, for a large search marketing project. And the team that I was pitching, 5 of the 6 executives got let go.
Yeah, because Morgan then had to buy them. I was there.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know finance. I mean, I know it. You know it better. You're the internal. I'm like external.
Right.
You know what I mean? But my point is that what happened was that started happening everywhere,
Yeah.
And so most of the work that we do now at JSM is serving, to that point, individual smaller brands and individual executives, individual entrepreneurs. Most of what we do. So we do a lot of personal branding work, and we do a lot of brand launches of new initiatives. Like those guys at Bear Stearns, you know what they did? They started a boutique financial investment firm. And I actually remember my team did their logo. We did their business cards. This was so long ago. But that's what I'm talking about. So it's like this launch.
Yeah.
We do a lot of brand development and brand launches. And for personal brands, it's about, do you want to become a speaker? Do you want to become a thought leader? How do you break through the clutter? So we come in and we strategize, not just on branding, but I think what's actually, as I was saying earlier today in Beverly Hills, so tired right now, is that yes, we provide branding, and I think I'm great at what I do in branding, but I think more importantly is that we provide advice that helps individual executives, entrepreneurs, and small businesses save money and not make mistakes. And I think that's so important, from a business strategy standpoint, I'm saying.
Well, I mean, outside of the founders that I advise or that we advise or that we work with and those in my network, I mean, there's the access to capital, obviously. And when I say capital, and I'm going to do a whole session on this because it's not just venture capital. 80% of small businesses are self-fund, bootstrap, build it from the ground up, retain you like me. And so, but when we think about access to capital, it's all kinds, right? It's bank loans, it's business credit cards, it's working capital, et cetera. The other is marketing, right? How do I build my marketing? How do I build my customer acquisition? How do I make sure I'm like on brand? And most people, when I talk to those businesses, will say, well, I don't have a budget for marketing.
Oh my God.
So
most people don't have.
But dispel the myths around you need to invest in marketing.
Oh my God, I just got to tell you, yes. Dispel the myths, that's an easy one. So I always have a budget conversation with everyone that's even slightly interested in working with us. Yeah. I just start talking about it because it's important. So the key is my agency, and I'm sure other agencies out there, understand the DIY environment. And so we want to be there to support the DIY environment. Yeah. But even if you think you can DIY things, you still need a budget. And if you have a budget, like I was talking to a new client actually in LA, which I'm really excited about, the other day, and he said to me, I'm spending whatever he was spending. It was some nominal amount, like $1,000 in paid social. He said, Jasmine, I don't know why I'm not getting customers. I said, well, do you have a science behind it? Do you know what you're doing? How did you come up with that number? How many clients do you want? How are you measuring it? Like I started going through it, he's like blown away. I was like, you know what, you have. So I always lead with strategy. Part of strategy is understanding your budget. If you want, like in his case, if you want to make $10,000, let's look at the traffic. Let's understand your brand. Let's understand what your competitors are paying to yield 10K. And then what do you need to pay and what do you not have, right? So if they have a crappy website or website that's not converting and that's where they're doing their sales, yes, we're going to focus there and it's going to cost money. So the budget is very, very important. It's very important. And a lot of what, because I've been doing this a long time, a lot of what I think all of my clients will say that they've gotten from the work is that they've gotten a better understanding and education about how to spend their money wisely. Yeah. In marketing. Like they've definitely gotten that from me because I'm always hammering that into their brains.
Yeah. And I think, you as you in your so many years, decades of experience have been able to not only find your voice and continue to, as we like to say, goal dig, right? Because you're digging, going after those goals. You're actually helping all of these brands find their voice too. And there's a couple of comments. I'll read them in the chat. Deb Boulanger. Hi, Deb. Amazing. One of our Luminary members and just stars out there, doing it on her own. Absolutely having a customer acquisition strategy that is repeatable, predictable, and scalable, which is kind of what you're talking about, Jasmine. And like, I always say, know your numbers, right? Everything starts with a budget, whether that's hiring, whether that's building, whether that's marketing. You need to understand how much money you can spend and actually what's your return when you spend that money. If you don't have a strategy behind it, it's like finger in the air, like, oh, well, and then people waste
money and waste time.
Waste money, waste time.
I'm a simple person when it comes down to these things. It comes down to business. It's like money and time. That's the equation.
Money and time. So you have built this incredible multiple companies, and also you're speaking, you do tons of speaking, and then pandemic hits, you go down to Florida, and then you're kind of Florida and New York, and we love seeing you when you're in space here in New York, but you then get this call or an email saying, hey, you're part of NALBO. What do you think about becoming our next president?
Yeah, this is the funniest story to me. So I wasn't thinking about I just retired, so to speak, from being the president of another nonprofit, the Hockey Players Doing Business. I play hockey too. So anyway, so I just kind of retired from that. And that was like hard for me to retire from, because when I just got back from Beverly Hills, and when I was there, they were saying, you came for one day. I was like, well, I said I'd be here. It's just who I am in life, So when I commit to something, I want to commit and I want to do a great job, right? So Hockey Players in Business, I was like, oh, I'm going to quit this. I'm going to do the right thing when I exit. And I think I did. And then all of a sudden, I've been doing Warrior Women in Business, which we haven't talked about yet, but we can. So Tanya Sturl, who's a dear friend, colleague,
Luminary,
she's awesome. We've worked together because of what I do, personal branding. She's a great stylist. Anyway, so she reached out to me. She's like, hey, do you want to be on the board of NABO? And I kind of laughed, because I said, well, I remember my last NABO event was like 2007.
Yeah.
So, I hadn't really been involved in NABO. So she said, and I said, well, what's going on with the organization? This is interesting. She said, I think you'd be a great person to be involved because of the work that you're doing with Warrior Women in Business. So I checked it out, and then I started to get these interviews from the current board. And I was on the, I think, second interview with the former president, who's Elizabeth Foster, who's amazing. Yeah. And she said, well, you need to do all these little things. You need to do a background check, fill out this form, So I filled out the form, and then she called me. She said, I think you filled out this form wrong. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? So I had check marked VP of Marketing, because I thought that's what they wanted. And then she said, no, we want you to lead this board. And I was like, wow, because this isn't a small, this is extremely active. This is a very active, it's a lot of work. We can affect big change. NABO, they're really known for their advocacy and support on diversity. So it's not a small thing.
Yeah. No, it's a huge thing. It's
kind of a huge thing. And it was funny because everybody, when I got it, everybody's like, congratulations. You know me, Kate. I'm like, whatever. You know what I mean? Because I have so much going on. I'm always trying to do big things. I was like, I just want to do a great job for NABO. And so it's been very busy. and NABO is a great organization. It's national. It's got a lot of tradition, history, support. It's got positive sentiment, we would say, in social media. So, it's a very good organization supporting women in business. And I'm really excited about what we're doing together. You're like the first person I thought. I was like, should I take this role on? Kate, let's do some things together. Okay, I'll take it on.
No, I think what we love, we have so many members at Luminary now, not just here in New York, but around the country that are members of NABO and their various chapters. And, prior to starting Luminary, I had no idea of all these different organizations because I was in corporate, and now obviously I have an exposure. And I think, driving forward the mission and the support and the impact of women business owners, one of the things that I'll just remind everyone, if you are in the New York area and you are a part of NowBo, you have the opportunity to use the Luminary space, right? So you can come in and just remind the front desk that you're a NowBo New York City member. We're going to be doing some events together with NowBo and Luminary. And I think the power, you do it so well, and I want to talk about Warrior Women Business. The power of collaboration is so much, Jasmine, of your focus. And I hear it when you talk in your as many roles as you have around collaboration, around relationships, and also how important that is to women in business, no matter their professional journey. If they're starting a company, if they're building a personal brand, if they're climbing the corporate ladder, relationships, collaboration. Is that sort of, when you think of Warrior Women in Business, what's the goal?
Yeah. Warrior Women Business, as I was saying at the Beverly Hills event last night, where I was talking to 6 amazing women, it was very funny. The event was amazing, but it was funny because at that moment last night, I realized that I have 6 women and we're all really networking in the right way. You know what I mean? And they said to me, "Oh, wow, what do you do?" They're all excited about what I did at first because I'm there from New York,
Right.
And I said, "Listen, ladies," and I looked at them, I was really serious. I said, "This is our time." I said, "This is our time to become powerful and for us to be leading these conversations and for us to have big businesses." And they clapped because I'm so serious about it. And I don't know, they're not like that. And I'm like a different angle. So Warrior Women in Business is really about, I hate these catchphrases and buzzwords. I'm not that way, but it is about strengthening women in a way that we can achieve more and that we cut out the BS. I think women traditionally, and you could disagree with me, I think they're very gossipy and they go behind each other's backs in life. And I just hate that. So I really, really hate it. I have a friend in the music industry who's kind of a big deal. And she's told someone the other day, "You know what I love about Jasmine? She has such strong ethics." I just really do.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of Warrior Women in Business, is women being ethical about how we treat each other. It's something I really believe in.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I've written about this, the mean girl sort of elbowing out, the ghosting that happens when you're it's like, not for nothing, we love men. We both work
with
male clients and all these great male allies, but like, as we're trying to, all raise each other up, let's actually do it. Let's not just say we're doing
it. Exactly.
I think that's, with Warrior Women in Business, but also with what you're doing with JSM. You're holding your clients, you're holding the women that you work with, you're holding your network and your relationships accountable. And you know me, I do the same. No one would ever say that I'm indirect or shy. I'm probably one of the most, I was actually, you'll love this. And if he's listening, because I know he watches my LinkedIn, the CEO of Unilever North America. Unilever is one of our great partners at Luminary. He and I had a one-on-one catch up on Wednesday. And he said, "I have to tell you, your intensity is like nothing I've ever seen." And I love it.
But Kate, it's a calm intensity that you have.
A calm intensity.
That's what I have to say. I think you have this, I really respect you, and when I see you at Luminary and I'm like, oh my God, I am always like, how does Kate do it? And then you kind of float by me and you're like, "Hey, Jasmine." And I know that you have like major decisions that have to be made that you're making. So yes, you're very direct, but I think it's this calm directness that makes a leader. I got to tell you. And that's what I see in you. So that's my own
I love that.
objective.
I will take that compliment.
Yeah.
But I, and right back at you, I see this, you have this incredible personality, this ability to connect with people. And I think that's what's number one with JSM, but also with Warrior Women in Business made you so successful. But now as the president of NowBo, right? As you're thinking sort of back throughout your career and we all have those hiccups and missteps. And I was on a podcast the other day called Plucking Up. Instead of the F word, plucking up. We all pluck up every once in a while.
I like that.
Right? I got to introduce you. She was incredible.
Well, yes, please introduce me. It's probably right up my alley.
She has a book called Beginner's Pluck. And it's awesome. So anyway, it's this whole, like, we have lots of mistakes. We make them, we get up, and I'm very big on that. As you think back to when you started your career, and as you're talking to so many women in your networks, do you have one piece of advice for them as they're, whether it's building their brand, their personal brand, their company, their career, that you just kind of stick with anytime someone says, well, Jasmine, what kind of advice would you give me?
Yeah, planning, I think, is key. Planning in the right way, and not, this isn't one answer, I'm sorry, it's just not. But planning in the right way, and then not, if you are out there and you know you're planning for your business.
Yeah.
Financial, branding, marketing, employees, we didn't talk about that. That's a major part of being a business owner. Absolutely. I think the biggest challenge. I think it's the hardest.
Hardest, yeah.
It's the hardest. But as you're planning, you really want to ask yourself first if the answers are correct. So in other words, I think a big problem with female entrepreneurs is, and artists and anybody that's an entrepreneur, is the problem of doubting themselves.
Oh yeah.
It's the biggest problem. So, there's a lot of things that you don't need to do as a business owner, right? So I have a lawyer. I refer business to lawyers. I'm not a lawyer, right? I refer my clients to lawyers because, they do IP law. We're very attached at the hip type of thing. But I would say planning and try not to doubt yourself as much as possible, and reach out to professional resources when you need them. Yeah. Because the problem is, if you're in a space where you're trying to do everything, you're not sure of the answers, in the very least, you should look to get some advice from solid people that have been there and done that, because it's just going to help you move forward.
I absolutely, and there's another comment in the chat based on what you said earlier and just now. Yeah, I'm, a huge believer in working with experts. You can't do it yourself everywhere. You will get there quicker and cheaper if you have an expert like Jasmine to guide you. And that's just running a business, right? If you try to do everything on your own, you will not succeed. That's the problem.
You can't.
You can't. You just can't. And it's the same thing with your building your career. You can't go it alone. You need people around you. You need a network. You need multiple networks. You need diverse networks, and you need to tap into resources. I love that. Now we have like 1 minute left, Jasmine.
Oh, I'm loving the show.
Now, Bo, we have an event tonight, or this afternoon, 3:00 Eastern. So
yes.
I put in the chat or in the comments where people can find out more about NABO in general, if you are a women business owner, or you just want to hear some kick-ass conversation with two of us.
That's right.
But where can people find more about you and want to learn more? So tell us.
Okay, thank you. So yes, I'm excited for our 3:00. That's first of all. Everybody should register and attend. It's free and it's fun. We get to flip the mic, and I'm normally on the mic, so I'm excited. So you can register at NABO NYC. Now, about me, it's very simple. My name is Jasmine Sandler. So all you have to do is go to jasminesandler.com. From there, you can get to the Warrior Women in Business site. You can get to our Brand You conference, which I didn't mention because it's a very quick interview. You could also learn more of all the things that we're doing. There's 1 million client testimonials there. I try to run my business like Toyota. Just check it out. And one thing I do want to mention, which I didn't have a chance to, is I am producing with 2 other leading women in the music business industry a music business conference and performance series that the inaugural event is going to be in May. So look out for that. It's called Warrior Women in Music. And the most important thing I have to say is I could not be more excited about launching the new collection of the Warrior Women brand at Luminary, and that's going to be announced at the pop-up. So I'm very excited about that. But you could follow me at Jasmine Sandler, speaker on Instagram, and it goes to everything else.
you truly are a multi-hyphenate. I mean, it's like every time we talk, there's more things you're doing. I am trying just to keep up with you, Jasmine. This was amazing. And again, we're speaking later today. If you're interested, nalbonyc.org, you can sign up for the event there. Jasmine, amazing to have you. And I will see you soon in New York. But thank you for being here. Everyone, have an incredible weekend. Stay safe and stay healthy. Remember, it's not just about you, it's also about others around you. We want to just actually get together and start convening really in life again.
Absolutely.
So get through this. And Jasmine, great to have you. And I will see you later today.
Thank you so much, Kate. It was wonderful. I'll see you later.
Have everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Next week.